Hey there, welcome to the Real Las Vegas Market Update. I am here with Aundrea Beach-Greco, and we're just going to jump right in. So the stats this week, we're blowing the roof off with how many homes are coming on the market. So we're almost at 8,000 homes. Probably next week, we probably will be at 8,000 homes for sale. That still is only giving us about a 3.5 month supply of inventory, meaning if every single home sold that's on the market today, it would take 3 months to go through all the inventory. So that is still, pretty much a seller's market. No matter what you hear on the news, it is still a seller's market. The interesting thing, though, that I thought that happened this week is after 2 weeks of barely any properties going under contract, we actually picked up about 60 properties that went under contract. Now, I will tell you, divide almost 20,000 agents by 60 homes going under contract. That's not a lot. People aren't getting paid. And it's making some agents, I don't know about on the lender side, but it's making some agents desperate. You do not want to work with a desperate agent. That is not
I think they make bad decisions.
Yeah, that's not a smart thing to do. You want someone who has gone through these cyclical happenings before in the market and that sells more than one home a year, which unfortunately that constitutes about, I'd say, 75% of the agents that we have in the marketplace. They only sell a couple of homes a year. Now, if you were a doctor and you only operated on 2 people a year, would you trust that physician? So, and I really do take our jobs as, we are professionals. No matter what the reputation is that real estate agents have, we're professionals.
Right.
And, yes, the barrier to entry is low for real estate agents. Not so much for loan officers, but for real estate agents. But educating yourself matters on the real estate agent side. So you want to have someone representing you that is doing all the things. They are bettering themselves. They are bettering their business. They are highly educated, not only in the marketplace, but also in how to get things done in the real estate space. So
I think that's important.
Yeah. I'll jump off my soapbox now, but
no, it applies in lending as well.
Yeah.
Again, with the decrease of about 30% of transactions, the lenders who are either new in the business or haven't seen this kind of market, because the past 2 years, loans were falling from the sky for most people and they didn't have to market themselves or figure out how to get business. Same thing.
Right.
They're working off desperation. They're trying to sell products to clients that don't fit the client's needs, making bad choices on behalf of that client. So going back to your point, it's important for you to work with someone who has the experience, who has the full time in the business, so that you can be confident in their knowledge and make sure that this biggest transaction you're making is not just in the hands of someone who wants a paycheck.
Yeah, and you are not practicing
on them.
Right. You actually know what the outcome will more than likely be before you ever get to that place. So, it's, and the reason I brought up, I went on a tangent, but the reason I brought up that 60 homes went under contract is because that's a good thing. So that means buyers are coming back. They are showing up. They went to therapy for their PTSD of the last few years. And now they are emotionally, maybe financially ready to step back into the fray of what it means to actually buy or sell a home.
Sure.
Yep. So, so that is great news. So the other news that I thought was very interesting is that we had let me make sure I say this correctly. Okay, so online lenders. Now, you can just keep your daggers to yourself. Online lenders, honestly, have been the bane of my existence because
just yours.
Well, I'm just speaking for myself at the moment, but yes, because you can't get in touch with them. There are so many layers of, it's almost like security that you have to go through to get them on the phone. You don't ever quite know the process. You don't ever quite know. You've got 10 people calling you or more on this one loan. You don't know who's communicating with who. Anyway, they are laying off. These online lender companies are laying off thousands
30 to 40% of their staff.
Yeah, upon thousands of lenders. The reason is business has slowed down. So they hired all of these people to take on this just booming business that we've had over the past few years. And now they've slowed down. And now they're like, okay, see ya. Well, if you are a client who is using an online lender and now this lender doesn't exist, are you closing on this home? And the scary thing for me is, I mean, your earnest money, are you waving goodbye to that earnest money if the lender you picked cannot close the deal because now all of these, loan officers are out of a job? So my go-to always from day one, 12 years of being in this industry, is hire a local lender. If there's something that you're not understanding, you can actually get in your car, drive to their office, and sit down and have a conversation. And you don't have to hunt somebody down. You don't have to find out somehow, some way that they were one of the thousands upon thousands of loan officers that were fired. So please do yourself a favor. Aundrea has an office here in Las Vegas. I can go drive to you, or she will drive to me and meet with people. You want someone who is local that you actually have that touch point with that can help you should something go sideways. So that is so frustrating for me. So you can put your spin on it if you'd like. How do you feel about online lenders?
Well, again, we try not to make everyone competition, right? We want everyone to be successful. However, I think the challenge consumers have is maybe we'll classify younger generations that they believe everything that's on the internet. So the online lenders promote XYZ and they think that that's gospel, when unfortunately that's not always the case. And I'm a firm believer in educating clients, and so that's my frustration with them, is that they tell them things that aren't necessarily true or aren't specific to their situation. And that's the biggest thing, because a home loan's unique, like you and I. What Susie got isn't what Mark's going to get. And although it may be similar because you work together or something, or you heard they got this and I should get that, they are not the same situations. And that is my frustration with them. And the other part of that is when people are looking for a home loan, usually, unless they're referred, a lot of times they go, what's your rate? That's the biggest frustration. It doesn't matter what the damn rate is. If you don't qualify, it doesn't matter if it's 2% or 20%. But online lenders, they're very sneaky at not saying, Mr. Mrs. Client, your rate is this. Oh, by the way, did you read the fine print? That there's 3 million points buried under there. And the local lenders transparent and giving you this rate. And you're like, why are they so different? Well, that's why. Because they're not 100% transparent all the time. So
Well, and you don't see that until you're sitting there signing
At the end.
documents at the closing table.
Yes.
And you have so many other things that are on your plate, that are on your mind.
Yes.
You are so excited about getting into this property and
moving boxes,
and just
whatever,
all of this stuff, that the last thing you're going to do is go in and question, oh, wait a minute, you didn't tell me this, that, or the other thing, because sometimes, unfortunately, it's also not significant enough for you to make a stink about it. And so you just end up signing on the dotted line, even though they were not truthful and ethical in some cases, and you just want the house. Yeah. And I get that. Yeah. I totally get that. But our job is to set you up for success from the start. Yeah. And so just do yourself a favor. Even if you're looking at an online lender, I get it. I do. I totally get it. It seems to be an easier process. But I am telling you, from personal experience, from hundreds of deals, it is not as easy as it appears when you're just filling in basic information. You need somebody who's actually local, knows the trends, knows all of the things happening within our local community that can guide you. So, all right. So next thing that I have on here is... Okay, so we had to push this recording back. I was sick when we were supposed to record this. So our median home price went from $480 to $465.
What do you think of that?
So this is going to be a huge hot button topic. And it's going to be used as a scare tactic. And I will tell you, there is nothing scary about this interest rate. I don't know what interest rates are. It is not scary that the median home price went from $480 to $465. So a little context. We've sold, and in Vegas, it's a huge deal. We have sold some properties, not me. We, as in other real estate agents here in Las Vegas, have sold properties that are $18 million.
It's unheard of.
$20 million. We now have ultra luxury product that is transferring hands here in Las Vegas. Every time one of those sells, that also affects the median home price. So we went down to $465. Do I think that means the sky is falling, the market is crashing, we are, going to lose value in our homes? I do not. This is a cyclical business. Real estate is cyclical. So that also includes when those higher end homes close. So there's another home on the market right now that's for sale for $23 million. When that closes, it is going to affect our median home price. So just keep in mind where you get your information from definitely matters. So the sky is not falling. Property values are not declining. We are still in a great, great market. And NAR actually just adjusted what they're saying our appreciation levels are going to be. I want to say they went from 10%, to over 10%, because I don't remember what the number is. So I don't want to give you a number, right. But they did adjust that just, I think, yesterday.
Yep. And that's nationwide though. So again, Vegas is its own little market.
Yes.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
In that realm of luxury.
Yes.
Because some buyers might be concerned or questioning, at what point do you separate the average price per home versus luxury and ultra luxury? Because somewhere, somehow, maybe it's just me, I don't think it's fair that your $20 million home affects the price of my $350,000 home.
It doesn't. It doesn't affect the price so much as when we get these numbers, we don't realize that it's encompassing every sale.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think that it necessarily affects the $350,000 home. It just affects our perception of what is actually happening in the market. And I think that's where we kind of get in trouble, is because if I, as a consumer, looked at that without having a relationship with somebody who could kind of decipher the lingo,
right.
I would say, holy shit, my property value in a week dropped $15,000. And I would be freaking out. But you have to add the context to it, you know, so that we're like, oh, okay. I mean, so now, again, does that mean my $350,000 house is now worth $460,000? I mean, do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It could go both ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do see probably a need to actually divide it up. I just don't know where to draw the line.
That's why I was asking where you would. And as a lender, I think drawing the line might have to do with average wages and affordability, possibly, because if in any market, if you have the average buyer homeowner and then you have the outskirts of the millionaires, billionaires, whatever that entails. Yeah. I guess there has to be some cutoff, but I don't know. You're right. I don't know where that would be.
I don't know how you'd figure that out. I mean, because even if you have, say you have an ultra high net worth person, they could still be purchasing $350,000 homes because they're investors. You know, and so it's how does that kind of weigh out? I wouldn't even know how to do that.
I don't either.
I mean, and at one point in time, I mean, in the Las Vegas market, if you purchased a $1 million house, you were living in what everyone considered luxury.
Yes.
So now we're looking at, which, I mean, this is not to be offensive to anyone who's not in this particular market, but I mean, we're looking at 1 million to probably 1.5, 1.6 as being entry level luxury.
Pre-luxury, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a way to describe it. I mean, and it's only because, you know, 2 years ago, those homes that are now selling for possibly 1.5, they may have sold for $700,000 or $800,000.
Right.
You know, which, you know, that at one point was probably your pre-luxury.
Right.
So everything is kind of inching up as far as the terminology that we use. So what we are at the Guilbeault group kind of coming to terms with is that is our market. That is the luxury market, is the market that we serve. And what does that look like? What does luxury actually look like? Well, to us, it's wellness. And you can have wellness at any level, to be honest. I mean, if you have an ultra luxury, you know, product that you're selling, but the wellness aspect of it is not incorporated, you're going to have a really hard time selling that product. So, I mean, people want to focus on their health. They want to focus on the outdoors. They want to focus on, can they get from point A to point B of wherever that community or lifestyle is for them quickly without being, you know, hindered in any way. I mean, and that's kind of funny too, because in Las Vegas, I mean, I don't think there's anything that's probably not 30 to 40 minutes from end to end. And I'm talking from one end of town to the extreme other end of town. So, you know, I mean, we're not looking at California commutes.
Correct.
You know, but people are still looking at how quickly can I get to the airport? Because we travel a lot. That is our definition of luxury. You know, how quickly can we get to our preferred gym? How quickly can we get to the golf course? Are we on the golf course? And these are kind of things that we're seeing right now in that space. But I mean, at the same token, you can buy a home in a 55 and over community that, I just went on a listing appointment yesterday that probably will sell for $450,000, but it's on the golf course. Mm-hmm. Could that be considered for that buyer a luxury investment? Absolutely. So it's just, I think, our mindset, how we look at things, because in their mind, luxury could be, I want that expanse looking out my back door. To me, that is luxurious living.
Right.
So, not to put labels necessarily on things, but, this is what people are looking for. They're looking to use their homes differently than they have in the past.
I agree.
Yeah. So I feel like I am a tangent person, so you give me a talking point, and this is where we end up. So, okay, and do you follow Dave Ramsey? Do you know what he's about? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dave Ramsey, I didn't say this. Dave Ramsey said, now is the time to buy. Since today's prices are the lowest homes are going to be. Prices will continue to rise, only at a slower rate. So, what do you feel about his take on the market?
Well, I agree, because if you look at statistics, I don't have them with me, but I was checking prices over the last couple decades of Vegas. And prior to our crash, I think the median home, I'm going off memory here, but I think that I had written down that it was like $118,000 20 years ago. And now today, our median house price is $460, what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So $465.
In 20 years. So again, everything will continue to appreciate and get more expensive. So yes, I do agree with him.
Yeah. Yep. And I do too. Yeah. And it's not going to be meteoric. I mean, it's not going to be like it was the past few years.
I don't think we're going to go 20% a year.
No.
I know the national average, I believe they just revised, like you said, to 8% or 10%, depending upon the entity that gave their opinion.
Right.
But Vegas has normally been a 4% appreciation.
Yeah.
So even if you go back to what that is, homeowners are still going to be enjoying appreciation. It's just at a slower pace.
Yeah.
So like we were talking in another episode, I believe if you subtract out the last couple years because of pandemic and all of the crazy, and we could take that out, are we back to kind of normal standards? Are we still a little inflated? Those are the questions that people ask me all the time. Are we still inflated? So I don't know that answer. We'll yet to see. But again, I think if you can buy now, it's a great time to go forward and buy because you're not going to lose.
Yeah, and here's who's going to answer if we're inflated. Buyers.
Yeah.
That's who's going to answer that question. Because you have to see value in what you're purchasing. Mm-hmm. You have to see value in the offer that you're making. Mm-hmm. You have to see value as a buyer who is saying, I am staking this claim for the next however many years. Mm-hmm. You are the ones who are going to say, yes, this is what this home is worth or not. And then the seller can either agree with you and accept your offer, or you can counter, you can negotiate, you can do all of these things. But buyers are who says what the home is worth. So I've been, telling my sellers whose properties aren't moving, if you hit the price that buyers said, you know what, that is a good deal. That is a good deal for that home, then that home is going to sell. So until you get to that price where buyers are like, yes, take my money, please, then you know that more than likely you're overpriced. Right. Does that mean that the market is dropping? No, it doesn't. It just means that we have to now adjust on both ends. We have to adjust our expectations of what this market is. So yeah, I don't think we're dropping. No. But I do agree with Dave Ramsey that we are still going to appreciate. I mean, and that's kind of what all of the, people are saying that are in this space who are way smarter than me, who actually run all these numbers and do the statistics, and they take, like you said, decade over decade information, and they kind of boil it down to where I can understand it, and then that's what we go on.
Right. But can I say something piggybacking off that? I think there's a lot to do with mindset.
I could not agree more.
And again, if we bring in the media, and there's another layer, but again, if a renter, let's go back, if a renter is of the mindset, I want to buy a home, then they have to navigate through what you were saying and make sure that they feel like it's a good deal and it feels like it fits their lifestyle and their budget. But if a renter is still of the renter mindset, you're never going to convince them, show them enough data, or do anything that will ever change their mind, which is unfortunate, because I think that's that limiting, they call it that limiting belief, I'll never be able to buy, or whatever that looks like.
Scarcity mindset,
And then when you have the media coming in saying, oh my God, the sky is falling, then those particular individuals have this, oh my gosh, well, CNN said, am I allowed to say that? Anyway, well, you said Dave Ramsey, so there you go. I can say CNN. But again, if the media is coming in and saying things, and that renter's like, well, so-and-so on CNN said that, of course they're going to crawl in their little turtle shell and never come out.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. Media is told, here is what you say,
to sell the spot.
Here is how you say, well, I mean, it could be, I don't know if that's how it works, but I mean, it could definitely be.
Right? If they don't sell fear, they don't get viewers, and I mean,
so,
I don't know.
So, I mean, and if you're looking at, again, I know we've thrown out some national numbers, but if you look at national numbers, that doesn't tell the story in Las Vegas. So that is why, though, it has to be where you're reaching out to a local professional. And if you don't have that person, I mean, find them.
Right.
If you actually want the information, I mean, I don't know, should I say this? I got into real estate because of a couple of super slimy agents. I was pissed. And I'm like, probably at the time, nobody's taking advantage of me again, and that was my attitude. And so I had to get over that every single agent is a slime ball, because that's kind of how I entered the market. Now, are there still people who are not looking out for your best interest? 100%. But if you have a good bullshit detector, you'll know if they're feeding you a line or if they are actually looking for your benefit. Right. So align yourself with somebody who's looking for your best interest. And if they're looking for your best interest, they're not going in for a hard sell. They will give you the information willingly. And if they won't, use somebody else. If they will not sit down and strategize with you on, hey, I have this goal. This is the goal. This is what I want to achieve. How do I get there?
Yep.
And then you put together a step-by-step strategy of how to make that happen. Or let's just say it's not possible. And because I've had that happen as well, that it's not possible
today.
But if you do all of these things that I'm telling you need to be done, guess what? Come back to me next year. Let's see where you're at.
Right.
Oh, you still didn't quite hit the mark of where you wanted to be. Let's do 6 months this time. Come back in 6 months. Let's see if where you're at in 6 months is beneficial, and that allows you to be able to move forward with your dreams. Because I'm telling you right now, investors see the value in this market. Investors are pulling money from other places to buy real estate. So these aren't small investors. These are big hedge funds.
Big companies.
So if the market is crashing,
why would they be investing?
Are they investing? Yeah. So you have to look at people who are doing it at a large scale. And that's what I try to look at because, well, if they're not scared, then I guess I shouldn't be scared either. Because trust me, they are not going to put at jeopardy, in many cases,
of dollars,
billions of dollars, some of these hedge funds, to lose this money for their clients. It's just not going to happen.
So I wanted to interject real quick. Just some numbers that I extrapolated for our buyer consumers.
Okay.
And it may not be at your price point or that luxury level, but just...
I'm at every price point, just so you know.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to exclude you from that. Okay. So, but if the average Las Vegas resident makes about $70,000 a year. Okay, so we'll just use that number because I think that's statistically kind of on the average.
Okay.
And they have $350 in debt. They can afford about $350,000 to $390,000 with minimum down.
Okay. What does minimum down look like?
3.5% to 3%, 3.5% down.
Okay.
So that's not too terrible. And there's down payment assistance available. And the reason why I wanted that to be known is because if people relocating or the average Las Vegan, whatever that is making, we're assuming they work in the casino or in an industry, and that's what they make. I think it's important for them to kind of get an idea of what would they be looking at, without saving for 3 million years. So.
Yeah, I mean, and the good news is that there is not just the down payment assistance, but because things have slowed down and there's so much inventory on the market, you are getting seller concessions, which on top of your down payment, you pay roughly 3% in closing costs. So you are getting some sellers who are like, hey, I'll pay either some of or all of your closing costs to get this house sold. You know, so there is that opportunity as well. So, I mean, what would 3.5% on, say, a $300,000 home be?
25 grand.
Okay. So, I mean, that is what you're looking at to get into a property. So it's, you know, it is doable, but it does take a plan.
Yes,
it does take a plan. It does take a team. You know, I can get you so far, but a local lender has to bring you the rest of the way. And so it's not just a one-person job. I mean, and I think for some consumers, all you think about is down payment, down payment, not realizing that there are actually other costs that come into play when you're purchasing a home. So, I mean, that is huge to know kind of what that looks like. Yeah. So, thank you.
And talking about incentives, are you going to bring up builders?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so builders right now, again, they are starting to lay off as well.
Right.
And they are kind of pulling back a little bit on how much they're building because now they have standing inventory. So now some people, if they were under contract on a new build, some of them don't qualify anymore because the interest rates have gone up and they barely qualified to get into that new construction home before at the lower interest rates. And now that interest rates have gone up, it just pushes them over that threshold. And then not to mention, I mean, our build times were what, a year? 9 months to a year?
Yeah.
A lot can change in a year.
Yes.
I mean, you can have a job change. Somebody could get pregnant and want to stay home with a baby, and now you're down in income, and now you don't qualify for that home anymore. So some of this inventory is coming back on the market, and that means that they are, meaning the new home construction builder, they are incentivized to incentivize the buyer to get into this property. So they're offering closing costs. Some of them
Should we go down
are
the list?
not. Yeah, some of them are not charging loan. They're not charging lot premiums. They're also giving incentives on using their preferred lender.
Yeah.
There are a lot of incentives to be had. I have one client who just purchased new construction. They gave her closing costs and gave her a $10,000 credit to go to the design center for like any type of upgrades that you want in your home. And they gave her a washer, a dryer, a fridge, which is not typically included in a new construction property, and blinds on the home, which is not generally included.
Not typical, right?
Yeah, in a new construction home. And to top it all off, the home cost $429,000. So there are still homes to be had that are under that $500,000 price range. I had another community that was taking offers. I mean, on a new construction home, they're like, here is our list price. Make an offer.
Interesting.
I mean, and the new sales agent, who I will not mention who it was or where I was, said, hey, here's the offer price. I can probably get you in $25,000 below that. So, like I said, I'm not mentioning this, but you can call me. You can call me and I'll take you. But I mean, yeah, there are deals to be had.
Yes, there are.
Yeah. So,
do you see the builders coming back and giving agents back a commission that they took away?
You know, so some of them never stopped paying.
Good. Okay.
Which, you know, of course, we love because we value our relationships with them. But of course, we know at the end of the day, they're not in control.
Right.
It's a ginormous corporation that calls the shots. So yes, we have found that, I mean, and in some cases, they're offering more than a standard commission.
Good.
Because
they see the value in an agent. I think it's important.
I don't know if that's why, but I mean, okay, if you think that's why.
Well, okay. They need you.
They do.
You're their second
and I think,
word of mouth out there.
And I think the on-site sales agents have a different perspective than the CEO of the company
they do.
Who's making the financial decisions.
Of course.
So the on-site sales agents, yes, I feel that they appreciate us. It is not their fault, you know, if we're getting more than standard or getting less than standard. I think they value us no matter what.
Yeah.
I have always had great experiences with, I mean, 99% of the on-site sales agents for builders.
Right.
But I do think that they are trying to get this inventory off their books.
Yeah.
And I think that is driving.
And the year's coming. Some of their fiscal years of some builders are September.
Right.
And some are December.
Right.
So...
yeah, so I know some of them, they're really pushing hard to get this inventory off of their books before either the end of their fiscal year or the end of the actual year. So, if you're looking and you're not finding what you want in a resale home, new construction may be worth taking another look at.
Right.
Yeah. So this is a you question.
Okay.
The Fed, this is, you know, I love getting things from the news because then I'm not making shit up. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I like being able to have the actual information that other people are putting out there so that we can talk about it.
Sure.
So the Fed says interest rates won't ease substantially until 2024. So this was going back a little ways. Then they came out just recently and said they've scaled back the last two rate hikes of the year. So what I'm hearing is that some lenders had already priced in the last two increases. So are you finding that to be true? Were increases already priced in? I mean, what are you seeing as far as how those scale backs are affecting like just your day-to-day of what you're doing?
Well, let me answer part one of that. So as far as the Fed scaling back, I don't see it.
Okay.
I still, based upon the gurus and the people I follow in the market, they're talking about rate hikes continuing even in September.
Okay.
And the reason is they're trying to curb people's spending, and it hasn't happened yet. The numbers are still, and again, when they look at their numbers, the numbers are still high, so people are still spending. So again, the Fed's looking at that going, well, if they're still spending, we're still raising, because they were trying to create this cap so that people go, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. I'm not buying this, and this, and it's not quite there yet. So that's what they're saying will happen as far as rate hikes. Now, when the Fed talks about rates, there is a little bit of a misconception about that, because you and I and most consumers, if we're not you and I, but the consumer will look at that and go, okay, the Fed's hiking rates. And if you're in the home buying market, now interest rates are going to rise. Well, that's not necessarily the case. The Fed funds rate affects short-term lending, cars, credit cards, student loans, HELOCs, things like that, not a long-term 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, there is trailing effect on 30-year mortgages, but when the Fed says, oh, I'm raising rates, it doesn't mean, oh, well, that means the 30-year mortgage rate's going to increase as well. And they're not following each other in that way. So when the Fed talks about that, it doesn't affect rates. Now, to answer part two of that question, as far as pricing it in, lenders hedge the market every damn day. So they're already pricing everything in. They're not, unfortunately, they're in business to make money.
Right.
So when you read something as a consumer, oh, they're pricing it in, it's already baked in, or it's already included. Heck yeah, it's already been like that since the test of time, and every day as rates come out.
Okay, so again, this is not new news. No. But if you don't know the information previously, I mean, it feels as if it's something new.
Right.
So I just sound like a broken record. I mean, you really do have to get somebody that you trust the information that they're giving out to you. So
because you can't rely on those two statements. Because again, if you were to read those to me and I'm in the home buying market, I think I'd freak out. I'd have a mild meltdown and go, okay, it's probably not a good time to buy because they're raising rates and the lenders are baking in, I don't know if that's the right term, but they are hedging their money already and forecasting rates, because that's what we do every day. Yeah. That's why we have an opening and a closing in our market. That's why we have, again, at least for me, I follow the market every morning, every afternoon, midday, and if there's alerts to lock within a certain range, that's because of the market and what's going on behind the scenes that the consumer never sees. But again,
but that, again, good information, because if she's keeping an eye on things you didn't even know you needed to keep an eye on, so that you get your interest rate locked in so that it cannot go up, then, you have someone already doing that back end work for you that you didn't even know you needed.
Yeah.
And so that, that's huge.
Yes.
So one of our last, before we do our rapid fire, I saw an article about Open Door.
Oh, yes.
So they are an iBuyer who they buy properties from
mostly
sellers.
Sight unseen, right?
Sight unseen properties. Kind of like Zillow offers too. Same type of thing. And they pay cash, and but they take basically, and they're telling you you don't have to pay commissions.
Okay.
So that's,
and you don't repair anything as a seller, right?
Most of the time, I don't think most of the time, but you don't repair anything, but they add in, talk about baked in. Sure. They add in all of those repair costs, which normally you could get those repair costs done on your own for pennies on the dollar. Yeah. But, you don't want to be bothered. So you don't. So by the time you end up with like an open door property, like say real estate commissions are X, because I'm not really allowed, there's no standard real estate commission. But so real estate commissions are X. Well, by the time Open Door gets done with their
Fees.
convenience fees and the repair fee and this fee, that fee, the other fee, you have paid 2 times X for this, for actually not the same service, but for selling your home. So they were just fined by the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, like 60 some million dollars. Because they were not forthcoming. They did not do their fiduciary duty to their client, or in purchasing these homes. They were not upfront. They were not honest. They did not give all the information that was necessary for these sellers to make an informed decision. And so they were fined this money. I mean, for the FTC to get involved, it's a big deal. So at first I was like, yay, FTC, make them pay.
Yeah.
Make them, but in the meantime, all of these people who relied on their service, they're not getting this money.
They got screwed.
You're not getting this money back that you lost out on because now they're in trouble. You still got gypped, and the problem is that if you don't talk to someone else who can accommodate what your worries are in selling a home with a traditional real estate agent, all of those things can be handled through a strategy session.
Right.
And figuring out what's going to work for you, your schedule, your kids, your dogs, dinner, all of the things to get your home sold. There's always a workaround, always. So the interesting part that I thought, though, so it's not like, oh, now they learned their lesson, they're going to do better. Because
they're partnering with Zillow.
Yeah, I was at a conference. I was at a real estate conference, and it was brought up by one of these, agents, and he said, yeah, they were fined I think it was $62 million. They were fined $62 million. But their bank account is like 300 and something billion dollars. Like, they're not.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah,
$62 million to them is a drop in the bucket. Oh, okay. We learned a lesson. We can't do this, or we have to do it a different way. And so, you have to just be very conscious about what's happening in the marketplace, because is $62 million a lot? Well, to me it is. To me, that's a whole lot of money. But to them, it's not. And meaning they're not really going to change practices to benefit the consumer. It's still going to be practices to still benefit their bottom line. So
work with a professional.
Yeah. I mean,
and get a couple. Again, I tell people all the time, I think they're scared. Why would you not? Let's use our previous example. Someone gets approved with an online lender, and you say, why don't you talk to someone? What does it hurt getting a second opinion?
Right.
That second opinion could tell you, oh my gosh, you have an amazing deal, take it, run. Or they might say, well, what have you thought of this or this or this? The goal for us, and I think we work the same and think the same, is the end result is the best for the client, and that's what matters most. It doesn't matter about the paycheck, the commission. Are you getting the best deal for you and your family, whether that's buying, selling, or getting a mortgage? And I don't know why people are scared to make the extra call. Oh God, it takes 10 extra minutes. Oh my God, seriously? It might save you thousands of dollars in one side or another, but they're nervous.
Well, I mean, and our goal is that you are clients for life. I want to help you. I want to help your grandma. I want to help your grandkid. I want to help you. and your generations to come and your friends and your family to invest in something that is going to give you generational wealth. That is my goal. So at the end of the day, like, we just talked about, I had a client previous client, they had done other deals with me, called very nervous to talk to me because they were going to sell to Zillow. And I said, okay, give me the numbers. So they gave me the numbers and I said, take it. Take the money. I cannot get you that amount. Our market is not going to give you the amount of money that you're going to make if you take that deal. And so, I mean, to your point, it really is our goal to see you have the most successful transaction, no matter if that's with us or not.
Right.
So that's the end of the day. All right. So rapid fire.
Okay.
All right. I don't know how I don't remember what these questions are, but okay. So interest rates. Do you see them going up, down, or staying the same?
What kind of time frame are we looking at?
The next month. The next month.
Okay. Between now
and our next meeting.
month, I think they were about saying the same.
All right.
What about you?
think the same. I think the same thing. Not that I have the expertise in this department, but yeah, I would agree. Okay. So home price, median home price. Do you see it going up, down, or staying the same?
A little bit. I see it going down a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, again, is that right to use the word soften?
Yeah, I think we're just leveling off.
Getting back to a little more normal?
We're doing. Yeah, because we're still seeing, like last week, we saw over 2,000 price reductions. So, meaning they're not selling because they were overpriced to start with. Exactly. You're not losing value.
Right.
If your home isn't selling because it's overpriced, you're not losing value by lowering your price. You're bringing it to market standard.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Yep.
Okay. So, do you think that we are at a seller's market, buyer's market, or a balanced market?
You told us with your expertise we're in a seller's market.
Yeah.
Help me, educate me, isn't the seller buyer balance the 6-month mark?
6-month mark is seller buyer, so we're still at 3. We are getting closer to that 6-month mark, and I mean, who knows? By next month, we could be at a balanced market. If we continue to increase our inventory the way we are right now, it could very well be that we're at a balanced market. So,
and that's still okay.
It's great. It's great because there is opportunity in every single market. It does not matter who has the upper hand at the moment. There is always opportunity to be had.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, you heard it here first. This is what is happening locally in Las Vegas. If you want to stay informed, subscribe, ring the bell so that you're notified every single time one of these comes out, and agree with us, disagree with us. We like it all. We want your opinions because we want to stay relevant. We want to answer the questions that you have. We want to alleviate the stress, the anxiety, and just the utter contempt for what may be, the market at the moment. So stay tuned. We will see you next month.